everyone, this is Maheen. Welcome to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. Today we are talking about how to grow a specialized tech startup into a global corporate leader and understand how to scale team performance across borders and how to stay relevant in fast-moving industries in 2026. To build long-term business relationships today, companies need to combine creative marketing services with top-tier software tracking infrastructure, and we'd love to kind of discuss how this is achievable by having Erica Anderson join us. Erica is a VP of Marketing and Product at Income Access, a Montreal-founded subsidiary of Paysafe. Erica is an award-winning industry executive with over 17 years of digital marketing experience, who was recently named Women Leader of the Year at the FPAPA Global iGaming Awards in Madrid. Without a further ado, let's dive in and welcome Erica. Erica, it's a pleasure having you on the show with us this afternoon. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you so much for the lovely intro. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm doing
Erica,
well.
absolutely. Very excited as well. And we'd love to open our discussion by understanding the evolution of a tech success story. Because many business owners they really struggle to transition their company from a small local operation to an established brand while maintaining a strong corporate culture. Tell us, how has income access evolved over the past 17 years?
Sure. Happy to give you a little bit more info on that. So just to give some background on Income Access, what we do, just to position our brand and what we stand for. So we're an affiliate marketing tracking platform that also has digital marketing services. So we're really focused on delivering technology that allows our clients, we're focused specifically on iGaming, to be able to track their acquisition through affiliates. And we also have the ability to combine and connect them with affiliates and other digital marketing services to get acquisition. So as that, we started in 2002. So we're actually coming up next year on our 25th anniversary. And as we started as a smaller business, we actually grew. I came in 2009, so about 17 years ago. And we've been working a lot on continuing to broaden the scale of our business. So our predominant markets have been, as I mentioned, in the iGaming verticals, but also we've been working broadly, globally, and depending on regulations and markets that have opened up, but from anywhere from in Europe, as well as in North America, in LATAM, the more established markets. But we also have been growing in Canada as well. So over the years, we've taken an approach of really growing where the markets are, because we have been for quite a long time in the industry and we understand it really well. But we also understand how to scale, because we did start as that smaller business. And then we were shifting and we evolved into being acquired in 2016 by Paysafe, which is a larger payments business. So we have our standalone brand as Income Access doing the technology for affiliate marketing. Paysafe is a payments organization providing payments solutions across many different markets and verticals, anywhere from retail to iGaming as well, travel, small businesses, payment processing. So we really were looking at in the acquisition, how do we continue to grow, but also keep our identity as a smaller business, but a team within the larger organization. And we really saw that, as we grow, as we've developed within a big organization, we've been able to keep our culture. It really matches with a larger business as well. But we've been able to really focus on having still an entrepreneurial mindset. So making sure that we're focused on what do our clients need. We're a high touch business. So we focus on, okay, we have the technology, we know they need traffic. How do we target them and give them the services that they need, while also making sure that they don't get swallowed up by a larger organization, and we don't get swallowed up by a larger organization that has given us many benefits. From a technology perspective, being acquired by a larger organization has a strong infrastructure, a strong ability to have access to markets that we may not have had before, and the scale and the global reach. It's really helped us to grow, but also we've ensured to keep our focus on our relationships with our clients and within our teams as well.
Right. That's such a crucial perspective because it is amazing how much a company can grow when its culture and its tech infrastructure really adapts successfully together over nearly 2 decades, as you mentioned. Um,
Yeah.
Now let's look at how focused leadership can help a Canadian organization break through geographic barriers and expand internationally. Erica, what key lessons have you learned from scaling a business internationally?
Sure. So so in terms of within income access, I am one of the leaders of income access. I also have other cohorts, not cohorts, sorry, colleagues and people that I work closely with who help us to look really how we're scaling internationally and leadership within the teams. We look at balancing autonomy. You know, obviously, we give a lot of trust. And for myself, from my perspective with my teams, we look at how do we really support so that people can make decisions within the teams of new markets that we can go after, bringing in their own experience, their own background, their own relationships within those new markets. So we make sure that we are optimizing that and really going after that and allowing us to really understand many different areas. And what I've learned is that you really have to focus on where the best decisions can be made and be providing that overall top level strategy as well. But making sure, like I said, about the autonomy, we really, from a business overall, income access, like I mentioned, regulation is very important. It does drive where we grow, which markets are the best ones from us, but also opportunity. There's a lot of new markets that are uh, coming up. I mentioned about in for our industry, iGaming, LATAM, Africa, and Asia are huge growth markets for us. So we really look at getting people in those markets, localization of people who have experience, going to conferences and events, building up our expertise, but also our connections within those markets. So, and within a larger organization, you won't necessarily always dictate the directions you go because there's also the directions of the overall business. But we very much have a seat at where we're trying to grow and where we're trying to develop. And we can also leverage other people outside income access, their relationships, their experience, and what they're doing with their products to then cross sell to clients. So it's really making sure that we have that overall support. And that's really helped us to scale internationally, even from a day to day language perspective or having people. Paysafe has offices globally in many different areas. So we're able to get access to new markets that we may not have had access to before.
Mhm. That's a fantastic point because having clear internal leaders who understand the balance between local management and global operation is truly what creates true corporate stability. Now
Exactly.
let's talk about the big regulatory changes happening right here at home and what they mean for market opportunities. Erica, what opportunities do Canada's expanding digital betting markets create for business?
Yeah, so in iGaming, historically, it has been a market that hasn't been overly regulated, and now really the regulations are there province by province. So we saw Ontario launched quite a few years ago. Well, not that long ago, actually, feels like a while ago, but in 2022. And then, so 4 years ago, we saw that opportunity open up, and we were very much present as Income Access, making sure because I'm based in Montreal. Many of our team members are based in Montreal. We do have um, the ability to have those local relationships. And then we also saw that as that market has developed and grown, that other provinces like Alberta, for example, is going to be launching an iGaming in July. So there's another opportunity for growth there. So we're really seeing the growth in that industry within Canada. And we very much made sure to focus our efforts locally while also keeping our global presence because we are able to understand the markets and we have worked within the global market for many years, and so we've been able to adapt that to our local knowledge.
Mhm. Well, that is a very thorough explanation, Erica. I mean, it's also a valuable advice because staying ahead of regional regulation, it really shifts This shift actually allows Canadian business leaders to capture massive market share
Mhm.
before the competition even arrives.
Mhm.
Now let's shift our focus to the reality of major business acquisitions and how to manage large-scale corporate transitions safely. Tell us, how did you successfully manage the transition after the Paysafe acquisition?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, it's been about 10 years this year because it was 2016. And for myself, I mean, obviously there were people, um, I just to give background for myself, I came into Income Access, like I said, in 2009. I worked in a job doing the core of the business, affiliate marketing, and I grew in my role over the years doing different areas from account management, leading different teams, working with product, and now growing into my role as VP of Marketing and Product at Income Access. And definitely what I've seen from how we transitioned from the acquisition was we were a smaller business focused on a smaller ecosystem, not in terms of necessarily our our ability to expand globally because we were successfully expanding globally, but more to do with we weren't working with necessarily the same number of stakeholders within a larger organization than we were in our day to day. Right before we had to navigate through the transition of the positioning of income access within the greater organization and how we're working together. So those were all things that I saw for myself as a leader of areas where we had to really work out how do we work together? What are we using from the wider business? How do we also preserve our own, same, like I mentioned at the beginning, our high touch approach with our clients, our team culture of being supportive of each other, and looking at like what are the things that we need to evolve. I know even for me personally, I can speak about it really helped me managing through that transition, understanding how a larger business works. We were very much multi touch with our involvement when we were a smaller business, that people did many things. We still have that element in our culture in the larger organization, but we had to become more focused on who was responsible for what. And also some of our responsibilities may have transitioned out of our organization, like HR responsibilities, even some of our legal, because we could take advantage of having a lot more um, experience outside of the organization that had, Paysafe is thousands of employees. So we went from being, like a 70, 80 person corporation or business to being within a thousands organization. So, but I think really it gives you that support and scale. And my advice to anyone who's managing through that transition is to not lose your identity and who you are in a brand. And I definitely think that for us as Income Access, we have remained a strong brand within the Paysafe brands, but we've also managed to really still be noticed and still be continuing to be successful in what we're doing while also complementing the larger business.
Right. And that's an incredibly important reminder because a successful corporate acquisition really relies entirely on leaders who can integrate, systems without
Mhm.
disrupting core staff relationships. Now, Erica, let's look at the bigger picture and explore how an established organization continues to find new target industries to stay relevant over time. Tell us, how do you keep an established business relevant in a changing market?
Yeah, so as we've been changing, and I mentioned over the last 10 years where we've really been transitioning and opening up to new markets as they come. How do we stay relevant is making sure that we have those relationships and understanding of the industries that we're in, predominantly, like I mentioned, iGaming, but making sure that we understand what the requirements are for each of the markets, keeping those connections of where the growth areas are, and focusing on what our product can support, what our product needs to support, what we don't need to support as much. And then, really, what we've been looking at for our business and what we've really been developing out is on the traffic acquisition side. As things have developed and grown, the one thing we know that people need is customers. Our product has always supported that in terms of tracking, and we've had the services to really complement connecting with affiliates. But we've also seen that there's an ability to really drive traffic through different acquisition channels. I mentioned about performance marketing, um, but also about media. So looking at how we're driving traffic through media. So we've known that our core offering is traffic acquisition. And so you need to stay true to that, but also how you do it and where you grow and what you do and how you're supporting. That's what really you need to continue to evolve. So we've really tried to push to be innovative, and then also realistic about what, like I mentioned, the market's needs. So it's a combination of both.
That is an excellent piece of advice because continuously diversifying your marketing services is the only way to ensure that our business remains an industry leader for decades to come.
Yeah.
But this was a great conversation. Thank you so much, Erica, for walking us through so many different things, including how do we navigate new market regulations here in Canada, leadership for frameworks for international expansion, and lastly, how do we keep an established business relevant? So thank you for all those great insights. As we wrap up, what advice would you give someone that is moving from team management into executive leadership?
So yeah, for me, it's really about being true to what you are and what you stand for. So I've been lucky in my life to have a lot of leaders, executive leaders, including the people that I came up with, early in my career. And I've looked at a lot of different models. And sometimes when I was early on in my management career, I looked at replicating what they did. And what I know is now, having been doing it for a while, is that you really have to look at what works for you and what style works for you, and stay, like I mentioned about a business, staying true to your brand and your core values, staying true to who you are, because how you do things may not be how other people do things, but it does mean that you have value. And when I look at also within my position now, other executive leaders in a wider, larger organization, they also do have their own style of doing things. So don't second guess yourself too much. Give yourself teams. I think the biggest thing you can do is find people who complement you. So find people who fit in to obviously your overall approach as a business and as a leader, but also they see holes in areas that you may not see holes, the different personalities, and different experience and skills. I think that's the other thing too, is that when I again would look at managers, or when I was looking at executives as a manager, I thought, okay, they must know everything. They must know everything about a business. They must be experts in so many different areas, but they really just know how to ask the right questions. And they really just know how to trust the right people and how to really figure that out within a business. So that's my advice, is just stay true to who you are, but also build up that great team around you that can help you support. And from my perspective, I've worked with some of the people that I work with on my teams for over 10 years, some of them for longer than that. So I've been really lucky in who I've been able to work with.
That is a great reminder that moving into executive leadership requires stepping back from a day-to-day task to really focus fully on the long-term strategic vision. Thank you so much, Erica, for sharing your time and your journey with us today and for such great expertise and insights. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
And listeners, that was Erica Anderson from Income Access showing us how to scale a Canadian business, adapt to major regulatory shifts, and lead diverse teams to global success in 2026. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. Please learn more about how we're supporting the ecosystem by visiting Canadian SME Small Business Foundation at smbfoundation.ca. And before we leave, a special shout out to UPS and ADP for their ongoing support of small businesses across Canada. Please join us next week as we explore our next important topic. Until next time, keep innovating and keep growing, and we'll see you.